Question 2, 150-word task. So let's have a look at the instructions first. It says answer either question 2.1 or question 2.2. So remember, you're not doing both, you're doing either or. You must not answer both of these questions. So let's have a look at 2.1. Durante tus vacaciones en España, escribes un blog para descubrir tus experiencias. So during your holidays in Spain, you write a blog to describe your experiences. Mention. Un día de las vacaciones cuando tuviste problemas. One day in your holidays when you had problems. Un festival en España en que te gustaría participar. A festival in Spain in which you would like to take part. Escribe aproximadamente 150 palabras en español. So write approximately 150 words in Spanish. Responde a los dos aspectos de la pregunta. Answer both aspects of the question. So both bullet points, in other words, and there's 32 marks for this. So just a reminder, in the first stages we're thinking, okay, which of the two questions do we want to look at? So we'll move on to look at the other option. And also bear in mind, when you have chosen which one you want, try to show that you're answering the bullet point. And you can do that by including some of the words from the bullet point. So for example, if we're writing about a day in the holidays when we have problems, we could include the phrase un día de las vacaciones cuando tuve problemas. A day in the holidays when I had problems. So you'd swap tuviste, you had, for tuve, I had. Also in the second bullet point, you could include the phrase un festival en España en que me gustaría participar. So instead of saying te gustaría, you would like, you'd swap it for a festival in Spain in which I would like, me gustaría, I would like to take part. So it's just a way of demonstrating that you're answering the bullet point. Anyway, that's the first option around the theme of holidays and festivals. And the second option is as follows. 2.2. Tu colegio quiere artículos para su revista digital con el título La vida de los jóvenes. So your school would like articles for its online magazine with the title Life of Young People. Decides escribir un artículo con esta información. So you decide to write an article with this information. First bullet point. Un día memorable que tuviste en el colegio. A memorable day which you had at school. Tus recomendaciones para el tiempo libre. So the second bullet point is your recommendations for free time. So again, when answering the bullet points, you could include some of the phrases from the bullet point. So for example, you could say a memorable day that I had at school. Un día memorable que tuve en el colegio. T-U-V-E, I had. Making sure you're not saying you had, but I had. And instead of your recommendations, you could swap the tus for mis. So my recommendations for free time. Mis recomendaciones para el tiempo libre. So again, it's just a way of, you don't have to follow that suggestion, but it's just a way of demonstrating that you fulfill and you answer both bullet points. So let's just remind you now of what sort of thing you need to include. So remember, your first stage is deciding which answer you're going to go for. Are you going to go for the first one that is asking about your holidays and a festival in Spain? Or are you going to go on to the second bullet point asking about a memorable day at school and recommendations for free time? So once you've decided which one you want to work on, let's have a look at what you need to include. So the mark scheme. First thing, you need to make sure there's a mark for content, so you need to make sure that you are answering both bullet points and you are writing about 150 words. There's no point in going way over that because you risk making lots of mistakes if you go into too much detail, but make sure that you don't go too far under, otherwise you won't be able to get the highest marks. So you want around 150 marks, 150 words, and plenty of detail there. Make sure that what you write is understandable. So when it talks about clear communication, a Spanish person would understand it, and that you have included opinions and reasons. That's what it's talking about by justifying your opinions. So, for example, talking about what you like or dislike, what your thoughts are on something, and why you have that opinion. So there's also marks for 12 marks for range of language possible, and there it's all about having a variety of words, vocabulary, and structures. That's like the grammar. So a key thing is there, try to avoid repeating the same words or the same structures over and over again. So you don't want to keep saying me gusta, me gusta, me gusta. Try and vary the way of doing things. And hopefully just so that your language flows. And you can see there's also 5 marks for accuracy. And the key thing there is to make sure that you're using correct Spanish, particularly the verbs, that the verbs are in the right form. So let's look now at a couple of examples. You can describe these as model answers. So for the first one around holidays and problems in the holidays, let's have a look at that. I'll read through with you. And the idea of looking at these example texts is that you could maybe look at how you could adapt these to produce your own response. So, el año pasado fui de vacaciones a España con mis padres y mi hermana pequeña. So, last year I went on holiday to Spain with my parents and my little sister. Aunque en general lo pasamos muy bien y visitamos muchos lugares de interés, uno de los días fue un desastre. So although on the whole we had a really good time and we visited lots of places of interest, one of the days was a disaster. Fuimos de excursión a la catedral famosa de la Sagrada Familia en Barcelona. So we went on a trip to the famous cathedral of the Sagrada Familia, literally the Holy Sacred Family, in Barcelona. Pero cuando llegamos, but when we arrived, estaba cerrada. It was closed. ¡Qué horror! How horrendous. Después fuimos a una tienda de recuerdos. So afterwards we went to a souvenir shop y compré una camiseta preciosa para mi mejor amiga. And I bought a beautiful t-shirt for my best friend. Pero la dejé en el autobús. But I left it on the bus. So that responds to the description about the holidays. And then the second bullet point was about and it mentions a problem as well. And the second bullet point was about the festival. So let's have a look at that. El año próximo vamos a ir de vacaciones al sur de España. So next year we're going to go on holiday to the south of Spain. Y me gustaría participar en las celebraciones para la Semana Santa. And I would like to take part in the celebrations for Holy Week. He visto fotografías y creo que sería espectacular ver las procesiones en las calles de la ciudad. So I have seen photos and I think that it would be spectacular to see the processions on the streets of the city. Aunque es posible que sea un poco ruidoso. Although it is possible that it may be a bit noisy. Me encantan los festivales en España porque son una experiencia totalmente diferente. So I love the festivals in Spain because they are a totally different experience. Y me gusta conocer la cultura de los países diferentes. And I like getting to know the culture of the different countries. Creo que será genial. I think that it will be brilliant. So there's an example of a model answer for of about 151 words there for the first task. And the second one, so we'll look at a model response for that. El lunes pasado tuve un día fantástico en el colegio. So last Monday I had a fantastic day at school. Participé en un torneo de atletismo. I took part in an athletics tournament y gané 3 de las carreras. And I won 3 of the races. Mis padres estaban súper orgullosos de mí. So my parents were really proud of me. Después tuvimos un examen en la clase de matemáticas. Afterwards, we had an exam in maths class. Y saqué una nota magnífica. And I got a magnificent mark. Normalmente se me dan muy mal las matemáticas. Normally, I am really bad at maths. Pero este año he estudiado mucho más. But this year I have studied much more. Creo que las matemáticas serán muy útiles en el futuro. I think that maths will be really useful in the future. Y estoy muy contenta de haber tenido más éxito. And I'm really happy about having been more successful. So that was the first bullet point responded to about a memorable day at school. And the second bullet point about free time. En tu tiempo libre, creo que es una buena idea practicar deporte para estar en forma. So in your spare time, I think that it's a good idea to practice sport, to do sport, to be in shape. En el futuro, practicaré más deporte. In the future, I will do more sport porque necesito estar más sano, because I need to be healthier. Sin embargo, ahora los jóvenes pasan mucho de su tiempo en su ordenador o su tableta. However, now young people or teenagers spend a lot of their time on their computer or their tablet. Por ejemplo, me gusta mucho chatear por Facebook. For example, I really like chatting on Facebook y utilizo mi ordenador para mis deberes. And I use my computer for my homework. También los jóvenes debemos pasar tiempo con nuestros amigos y hacer actividades juntos. So also, young people, we must spend time with our friends and do activities together. Es más sociable que mirar tu pantalla. It's more sociable than looking at your screen. So that was 155 words, as you can see, and that's a model response about a memorable day at school and your spare time.